Today's episode of Dungeon Crawlers Radio is brought to you by Gamers Inn, your one-stop location for all your gaming needs. Located in Lehigh City, Utah, their fun and friendly staff will be more than happy to answer any of your gaming needs. Just remember, Gamers Inn, it's where adventures begin.
It's time to power up.
Autobots, roll out! Broadcasting live from the DCR studio.
Oh yeah!
The Geek Revolution starts here.
Excellent!
Get ready for the #1 hit geek radio show out there.
Well, it is impressive, isn't it?
Because it's time for Dungeon Crawlers Radio. Let's get ready to rumble!
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Alright everyone, welcome to another episode of Dungeon Crawlers, where we are going to talk about magic, chaos, and all sorts of craziness.
Dun, 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 dun.
Like just a normal Thursday?
It's a normal day. Yeah.
What's new?
So we've got author Christopher Husberg here to talk about his book. The first one is Duskfall, which is the Chaos Queen Book 1.
Yes.
And then you have the second book, which is coming out very shortly.
Yeah, June
which
20th.
is Dark Immolation.
Yes.
Now this is a 4-book series, right?
5-book series.
Five-book
Yeah.
series.
Quintet,
Yeah, the
actually. It is the
Quintet.
Chaos
Quintet.
Queen Quintet. Yeah.
Yes.
So so Chaos Queen was my idea for the series, obviously, but my publisher tacked on Quintet, and I love it. I think it sounds
Oh, yeah.
awesome.
Very
That's
So-
awesome.
lyrical.
Yes, yeah, the alliteration sounds pretty nice.
Well, it's also nice when you start a book and you know that this is one part of the
Yeah.
story, but you have like at least 4 more to look forward to.
Well, the thing I like is there's an end.
Yes.
We know
Yeah.
it's 5.
yeah, I'm not
It's-
going to go to 7. I mean, I have, yeah.
We're not doing the Stormlight Archives, which is, 10 or 11,
Right,
or
uh-huh.
The Wheel of Time, which
Well,
ran out of
yeah.
author and had to get a fill-in.
Is it bad that when I'm reading Stephen King's I really wish he would have broken that up into like a trilogy?
Oh,
Or-
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that
yeah.
book definitely would have been better if they had.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's massive.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
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 Worth it.
So I love the word quintet. Like Bob Salvatore has the clerical quintet.
Right, yeah.
And it just sounds so awesome. And to be able to say, hey, I got a quintet, I don't know. There's just
It's pretty
something
nice,
about
you
it.
know? I mean, we'll see if I can actually get them on the shelves. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like
if I'm up to the task.
it's also something to be said for the first book when you present that and they're like, you know what? We want 4 more of these right now.
Right.
Like it hasn't even been released. We want.
We'll
we're
take
gonna-
that and we'll order 4 more.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna be a nice feeling
And
right there.
It is a nice feeling. Yeah, it actually I did not expect that for my publisher.
No,
so
that is
it's
awesome.
pretty cool. Yeah.
I can't tote that one. No. I got 1. Chris got 5.
Well, I can't even
You
tote
got
the
5
one.
before 1.
I know. That's awesome.
Wes, can you
this
tote
is-
one?
Can I tote one? I can tote like a chapter if I'm lucky.
He's got a chapter.
And that's like a Facebook post on a bad Thursday. I mean, that's about it.
So let's talk about the first one. So
Yeah, sure.
Duskfall kind of gives a little bit of background about the book without giving out too much, of course.
Sure.
Tell us what happened.
Yeah. So Duskfall.
I like spoilers.
Yeah, yeah. It's from the point of view of 3 main characters. The first is Nott, and he is a amnesiac assassin. He wakes up with no memory of who he is, where he came from, but he has abilities, and people are after him, and he has to kind of figure all that out and come to terms with who he was and who he is now. Basically, it's Jason Bourne in a fantasy world.
So like Ben Affleck paycheck kind of thing, you know? It's like, I did something bad and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, sure.
I
Yeah.
love those kind of stories
Yeah.
because not only are you discovering this as you're reading it as a reader, you're doing it with the character. And
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
an incredibly hard storytelling style to do.
I really like the dynamic,
Yeah.
because it puts you on the same page as the character, and I think that's
Exactly.
an interesting place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes you relate, and that's the whole
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're
Yep,
totally
You're
fine.
riding along the ride with the character. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you said it's from the point of view of 3 main
3
characters.
main
yes.
characters, yeah. So Nott is one of them. Winter is another. She is a Tiellan woman. The Tiellans are a group of people, basically elves in this universe. They were persecuted and enslaved by humans for thousands of years, basically.
Like you do.
Yeah, that's elves. What else are you going to do? But they were emancipated about 150 years before this first book, Duskfall, begins. But they're still pretty a lower class as far as the humans consider them. Anyway, so Winter's a Tiellan woman, and she is one of the first people to find Nott. And long story short, in the beginning of the book, they are actually engaged to be married, but some people attack at their wedding, and Nott flees, and she is faced with the decision, do I follow him? Do I stay here? What do I do? And she decides to go after him.
Okay, so it's not... Okay, when I read the summary, I thought that he married her and then left her, just like abandoned her, but it sounds like...
It was for a reason. I mean, he did
Yeah.
leave, but yeah.
Okay.
There's something behind
Now,
it.
is this before he loses his memory, or
This
after?
is after, yeah. So we don't get any of Nott in the book with his memory, at least for
I
now.
love how his
So-
name is Nott, because he doesn't have any memory.
Yeah.
But at the same time, your elves being kind of a subpar class is interesting because in a lot of fantasy, it's the elves that are kind of the high and mighty,
Yeah.
and everyone else is below them. Especially in Tolkien,
Right.
traditional D&D, Forgotten Realms, stuff like that. That's how elves are always
Elves are
portrayed.
the
So,
iconic clerics.
I mean, the
of
only
Cornwall.
the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head where elves aren't that way is in
Dobby.
the Harry Potter world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
they're
Dragon
servants.
Age is another. I
Oh,
don't know if you
Dragon
guys
Age. That's
played-
right.
Yeah,
Dragon
Dragon Age is
yeah.
another one. But yeah, I've always been interested in the race dynamic in fantasy fiction and subverting that. Yeah,
No,
I wanted to
that's
subvert it a little bit. So
I don't
Does
have
this
elves.
this type of dichotomy, does this give you license to explore current social and socioeconomical issues that may be facing society today in a fantastic sort of way? Is that something that you maybe tried to do in the books, or just kind of turned out that way? Or
does it give me license to? I don't know. Do those issues work their way into the book? Absolutely, I think. I think me as a writer, I don't think it's possible for me to kind of withhold a lot of my experience and how I view the world. So and also part of writing for me is trying to view the world in different ways. So I feel like I try to encompass a number of different perspectives in the writing, but specifically as far as race is concerned, as well as gender roles and all that kind of thing, I think I try to kind of tackle some of those things and approach them from different ways. One of the things I love about fantasy in general is you can just approach issues with a different lens, and sometimes, at least in my experience, the best parts of fantasy are when I come to a new conclusion or a new view of the world for myself from something I've read, because it presented it in a brand new way that I had never thought of before.
present the situation to the characters, let them tell
Yes,
you how
exactly.
they do
Yeah,
it, and
because I'm not interested in preaching, right? Like
Yeah.
that never feels effective to me, and that's not something I'm interested in doing. But yeah, presenting characters who go through an experience, and then they obviously, for them, it affects them a certain way.
Oh, yeah.
And other people might view it differently, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's.
And I think Bob Salvatore is a master at that
Yeah.
with
Oh,
his
yeah.
the monologues that Dritz does at the beginning of
Yeah.
the book section headers.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, there's
Yeah.
several times where there's been points in my life where I've read those like, oh wow,
they're poignant without.
wow, this just like put a certain event in a completely different light for me. So, and that's the great thing about literature is you know when you're reading something, there could be an event or something that happens that just clicks at that moment because of an event going on in your life.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, wow.
You
Gives
guys
a
have
different
such
point.
deep insights and deep questions. I was just thinking, what would happen if we put Winter, Legolas, and Dobby all in the same room at the same
Yeah.
time? Like that's
Well, I can tell you who would
That's what we
win
would
right
do.
now. Yeah.
That sounds like an old MTV TV
Yeah,
show,
didn't-
Celebrity
that was
Deathmatch.
Celebrity Deathmatch.
Right, yeah,
but
exactly.
instead this would be fantasy.
Fantasy
Yeah.
Deathmatch.
Yeah.
Fantasy
Have the
deathmatch.
elves.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah.
That would be
Sounds
interesting.
awesome.
But
We've got
more
Pennywise as the ref, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Dobby would be turned into some like weird rubber chicken slingshot.
Yeah, Dobby would just end up as the weapon.
Yes.
because Winter has some magic, right?
So yeah, so part of her story is that she learns she can access magic basically through ingesting a specific drug that is highly addictive. So kind of the cost of her using this magic is her dealing with the effects of addiction to this drug.
Oh, so it's not a natural thing to her
Dude.
people. It
No.
takes-
This is awesome.
Yeah.
That's just deep. I mean, forget the whole socio-economic stuff I was talking about. That's like, let's just give her a drug addiction. Let's just, crystal meth. Let's just, that gives you special powers, but let's see where you go.
But it's also crystal meth, and it messes you up.
Some people think they have superpowers.
Yeah. It could all just be in her mind. I just spoiled the 5th book.
Fireball! Yep, that's nice.
Yeah, hopefully you don't pull a Stephanie Myers on that.
It's all Inception 2.
Nope, that was all a dream.
Yeah.
It was a high dream.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah.
I know. But no, it's really cool because there's an added consequence to her casting spells and magic.
Yeah.
A lot of, again, going back a lot of traditional magic in books, you don't see that. It's just like, oh, I cast a spell, maybe I get a little exhausted. This is like she's got to deal with addiction, withdrawal, and who else knows what's
Everything
going on.
has a cost, and you actually see that cost as a physical and emotional toll on her being.
Yeah.
And you've seen that in sci-fi and fantasy in the past, but it's never really pushed to the point of addiction or it's always like, if I do this, then it's going to suck my life force and I won't live as long, or it ages me or something like that, where it just becomes an internal struggle of, do I do this and lose 5 years of my life? So that's more like smoking, less like literally crystal meth,
Yeah.
So I love that dichotomy. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah, I like it as well. I'm a little biased, but I thought it was.
Come up with that? Like, what deep recesses does that just?
Personal
let's make her a
experience.
drug
Right
addict,
Yeah. Speaking
This
of
is a
crystal meth.
confession.
Yeah, right.
He had to write this in Colorado, actually.
Did he start writing this like J.K. Rowling on the back of a bar napkin in the middle of nowhere?
In an alley with it.
If I'm not mistaken, you're what's called a panzer. So you've just write by the seat of your pants, pretty much. Whatever comes to the page is what it is. So you don't do a lot of outlining. Mm-hmm. So that's just even more amazing because you're just going along suddenly. Hey, what if I made this an addiction? Is that kind of what happened?
That is kind of what happened. I mean, so the way I write is I start with characters. Like my characters are sort of fleshed out before I start a story because I need to know who I'm writing about. Characters are usually the most important part of a story to me.
That 2-page high school character description that everybody had to write.
Yeah, the little,
This character was born in this place.
That's about
so I start with characters, and then I start with a general idea of like where I want the story to end.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is that usually as I write that general idea of where I want the story to end, I come up with something way better along the way. Yeah. So that's always fun, and that's what I love about the process is that these things just kind of the story. I think I do the story a disservice to say that it writes itself because it makes it sound like it doesn't take work because it does.
Oh yeah.
But it's cool to see the characters take control and sort of. My wife makes fun of me because when I'm really in the middle of a book and just deep into it, it'll be hard for me to fall asleep because I'm imagining all these things, and often like characters will have conversations in my head while I'm trying to go to sleep, it's cool and kind of schizophrenic experience.
I had
Do you
to
ever argue with your characters?
I have never. I mean, not out loud.
Let me ask you this: do you play D&D a lot? Because this is like total no characters. You can't do that because it'll destroy this.
Right.
And I can't get over this writing dichotomy that you've got. Just let the characters go. It's very screenplay, very movie, very. Put them in a situation and let them do their own thing.
No, I totally understand. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I
was going to say, I think we've talked about this.
And literally, I had a scene in mind, and the characters went a different way. Like, I planned to kill this character. Mm-hmm. My character named Jacobson. I'm like, that's the guy that's going to die in the story. But he didn't. It was the other guy that I wasn't expecting to die. And he completely died. I'm like, huh. All right. That's how it goes. And then just moved on.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
Spoiler. Yeah.
We already know you died.
Somebody dies.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, what? Hold on. I didn't make it through the last round of
Parallels
events.
here.
I'm kidding.
But no, for myself and Scott, we did some writing back in the day, and we literally wrote our characters into a corner and went, crap. We were at a loss, and then we just threw ourselves into the characters and been like, what was that? And that's how we wrote ourselves out, was just, how would the character react? We just gave it up to them and just like, you do your thing.
Yeah.
You do you, boo. And then
you know what?
they just wrote themselves out.
And it's cool. So one of the other not one of the POV, the viewpoint characters in Duskfall, but a central character. She was I never intended her to be in the series at all. She was just going to make a small appearance and then kind of go on her way. But the character of Astrid, who is a 9-year-old vampire, actually a 300-year-old vampire in a 9-year-old girl's body.
That's awkward.
That creates some
Baby Herman-ish thing.
They did an interview with a vampire with Kristen Dunst.
No, exactly. Yeah. And that was
true.
partially where I also love the book and film Let Me In or Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. But anyway, she came in, she appeared in the story, and she was just so compelling and so interesting that I was like, I can't write her out yet. Like, she's got a story to tell, and I want to hear what it is. And she happened to, and this is the other thing, is sometimes that can be a bad thing where the character can then take over the story, what you're trying to do with the story. And suddenly you're just fighting yourself, and that can be problematic. But in this case, it actually went along very well with where the story was going, so I was able to integrate her relatively seamlessly with the rest of the plot for book 1 and eventually for the rest of the series as well. And now she plays a huge part in the series, so it's kind of cool that she came along at all. Yeah.
Well, is she the third character that this?
So she's not the third Viewpoint character. The third is a woman named Cynthia, and she is a priestess in the Cantic denomination, which is sort of the main religion of the series. And she is tasked with investigating a heretical rebellion that she finds out is actually led by her sister.
Dun, dun, dun.
So yeah, dun dun dun. Conflict.
Family dynamics.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So their stories all intertwined by the end of the book, and there are demons and monsters and magic and oh my indeed. No, I was waiting for it. Yeah.
So are we talking? This is like give me an idea of. I don't want you to tell me the end of the book.
Sure.
But, do we end with the characters are done, we've resolved a good portion of it, but there's still an underlying story? Or do we just kind of end, well, that's the end of book 1, chapter 1, book 2 is, are we talking kind of Harry Potter-ish endings of books, or are we talking like Fellowship of the Ring, just kind of that ends there, and chapter 1, book 2
Well,
is
and
like,
to be fair with that book, it was originally written as one book.
Right. Yeah. So Lord of the Rings is a little bit, but a lot of stories today take that
on,
route.
yeah.
So
I'm just
that's
asking,
that's a good question.
Are you looking at like individual? Or
I'd say it's
plot
somewhere
lines
in
within
between.
It,
Yeah. So the first book ends where a few of the central plot lines, a few of the characters, sort of what they're dealing with, does get resolved at the end of the first book. But there are definitely there are a few things that are not resolved. And some overarching, obviously, some of the series arcs that are left wide open. So
the arc does end for the book, but there's still more that go towards the other books.
Books like that because it feels like a television series.
Right.
It's like, yes, we beat the bad guy this time, but the main bad guy is still out there.
Yes, yeah. And I'm a huge fan of television, so I think a lot of
very old school Power Rangers. Well, we beat the putties, but Rita's still out there.
But Rita's still up there. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just one of my favorite ways to describe it.
McKay, that reference is for you.
That's
yes,
funny.
And you're not here. McKay slipped back into the timeline. So, I mean, that's really cool. So that's out, and now we have book 2 coming out. So for those that haven't read the first one, hey, you get 2 books right now to read.
Right?
June
20th.
June 20th.
Yeah.
That's really close, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So, with the second book, the story moves forward. Do we see any new characters enter into the fray?
We do see some new characters. So I mentioned earlier that characters are just a big part of the story for me. It's what I go to stories for. And so absolutely in each book of the series I'm introducing anywhere from 2 to 3, sometimes I'm not sure about books 4 and 5. I'm not sure how many of those new characters those will have, but at least books 2 and book 3, which I'm almost done with right now, I introduce I think 2 new Viewpoint characters in book 2 and 3 in technically in book 3. If you want to get technical, I think there are 4 or 5 new characters in book 3. So it's expanding pretty quickly.
New point of view characters?
Yeah, new point of view characters. And not all of them have, so some of the POV characters in book 3 only have 3 or 4 chapters. Yeah. So they don't have like a huge arc, but they are.
So a guest starring
role.
There.
Yeah, exactly, a guest starring role.
So how do you deal with the different point of views? Is it a completely separate chapter, or is there a break in the middle of chapters? Because
chapters,
everyone's different.
Yeah, everybody's different. For me, it just really helps 90% of the time, chapter breaks.
Yeah.
Designate a new point of view. Sometimes, if there is a big event with a lot of viewpoint characters at the same event interacting with one another or whatever, then I'll jump within the same chapter from point of view to point of view. But usually, chapter breaks.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the type of character writing here, first person.
Third person, actually.
Third person.
Yeah.
Wow, third person omniscient.
I
would not
find
have
it
seen that coming.
so much easier to write in third person. To be
You
honest.
know, I actually find it easier to write in first person.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy, talk about putting yourself in the feet of the character,
See, I'm a
like
third person
telling
guy
you the
myself.
story. I like first person. I mean, started with second person with the whole Hunger Games series, but
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
she stands up. I'm like, what am I doing?
Oh, yeah.
Narrating.
Present tense.
Anyway,
Yeah.
present tense is no. But I don't know. First person. I've always books to me are stories, and to be told the story by the people in the story. I don't know. That's for me. I'm not.
No, yeah.
No, I mean, I've written in first person, but I found that I got drugged too far into that character. Because
4
like,
pages with a
well, like
mental
so.
thought.
I mean, for example,
It's
my
not first
the-
person present tense.
Yeah,
like,
the first person short story I wrote, the requirements were everyone must die. The world ends, everything dies.
Wow.
And this
Yeah.
character was screaming to live, and I'm just like, I don't want to kill this character off.
Yeah.
And I had to. That was the requirement.
Yeah.
And so, writing third person, I don't feel as attached.
Well, you're
With
third
first
person
person,
that
omniscient.
makes
You're
sense.
you're
Yeah.
not the character. You're God going die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So writing in the first person, I felt was a little bit more difficult because of that situation for me.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have to kill everyone off, it probably would have been easier.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, are there any points in your books that you said, character, do this, and it literally turned around and said, no?
Yes, there are. And I don't want to spoil anything, but, one of them is, in book 1, I was trying to make, a lot of the characters come together in the middle of book 1, like almost exactly in the midpoint of book 1. And then in some of the earlier drafts, they all went their separate ways. And I was really trying, because they still had separate stories to tell and other things. And they were kind of associated still as the book progressed, but geographically, they were in separate locations. And my agent read it and was like, why are you doing that? Like, why are they going separate ways? And I was like, well, because they need to be here for when this thing happens in this location, and they need to be here, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense, but why don't you just try letting them all go together? And I was like, oh, okay. So I did it, and it worked out way better. So I don't know. Like, that was, I think, a product of me trying to say, hey, the plot requires you to be here. So I need you to be here. But it was kind of the wrong decision for the book, And my agent, I have a great agent. He pointed that out to me, and I'm grateful for it. But yeah.
Well, no, I mean, that's one of the things that bugged me in the Dragonlance series, when the party just splits off into
Disbands
like 2
and
groups,
kind of-
and you're like, and you're bouncing back and forth, and it's like, okay.
Right.
And,
Bring it all together, guys.
Well,
Bring it all
time,
together.
same thing.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
And in
It
some
gets
cases-
unmanageable really quickly, and so with book 2, I've spoken with Daniel a lot about this, but book 2 was really difficult for me to write, and part of the reason was because some of the characters do split up in book 2, and it continues to be difficult in book 3 to really tell all of these stories at once and keep them associated with each other, but still have them be
separate
fairly
stories.
different. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like
Yeah,
you're telling the
exactly.
entire village story by book 3. I mean, you're incorporating 5 new point of view
Yeah.
characters. I mean, you've already got
Very,
5.
very saga.
Yeah, it is epic fantasy. So I love epic fantasy. I really want to give the reader a full experience of the world. So like I love just
Immersion.
adding multiple. Immerse them
Terry
in the world.
Goodkind kind of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And none of that, the covers are stunning.
I know. I'm so happy with the covers.
And
Yeah.
Who was
know-
the artist on that?
And the thing about covers,
Julia West, I want to
I
say.
mean, you don't have a lot on these covers, and really, but it's still stunning and striking and catches your attention. Which I'm guessing this is the stone or the substance she uses for her magic.
Oh yeah, on the cover of Duskfall. Yeah. So there. I love the covers because it's kind of a funny story. My publisher. This isn't the original cover. My publisher showed me. They showed me a different cover that was much more generic. It basically just had a guy and a girl on the cover with a sword and magic, and And so when I got it, I actually thought it looked amazing because it was the first time I'd ever seen my name on a book. So I was like, this is amazing. I love it. And my agent was like, nah, I don't think this is great. I think they can do better.
We can do better.
Yeah. And so he went back
but
and
my name.
Yeah, I know, but my name is on the book. What if they change my name? What if they move it? Yeah. No, it was...
on the dust jacket. What?
Yeah. But I'm so glad he went back to them and that they were willing to kind of rework it because, the subtlety of the new covers, I just love. Like, it's exactly, I think, what I had envisioned without really envisioning anything, if that makes any sense.
No, it
at all.
makes
But-
sense because you never know.
The character
Yeah.
drive it. you know?
Yeah, so and it's cool to go to. I go to a lot of conventions and I'm trying to sell my books and everything, and then the covers I think draw people more than anything.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, oh hey, that is a cool cover. Tell me about your book, and that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just, that's magical crystal meth, so you're going to
Yeah.
want to
So
read
this is gonna be interesting to you.
And if you look at book 2, that's what happens to your brain when
Yeah.
you have magical.
right. Yeah.
So
This is your brain.
I don't know. I
This is
think
your
it's always funny
Yeah.
when you're with the Bard's Tower. Quincy
Oh, yeah.
Allen is always. So this book is about magical
Drug addicted
elves.
drug-addled elves
Yeah.
is I think what he says.
That's like
Yeah.
the first thing.
that's right.
And people are just like,
I have to read
and then they
that.
pick it up, and then they pick it
Yep.
up because
Yeah.
like I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. So you spend a lot of time with the Bard's Tower. I know Salt Lake Comic Con. You'll be there with them in September.
Yay.
Yeah. And you're also planning kind of a book tour-ish
Yeah.
with Dave Butler.
With Dave Butler.
soon.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So Dave Butler, the author of, he's actually written quite a few
Witchy Eye,
books, but
yeah.
Witchy Eye is his most recent book, and it's phenomenal. I love Witchy Eye. But we'll be doing a book tour together in the middle of July, starting July 10th. We're going to go to a lot of the western states. So we'll be in California, we'll be in San Diego, San Francisco, in California, and then the Portland and the surrounding area, Seattle, Boise. So kind of just do a big tour of the.
So for all of you that are listening, you need to watch. For
Yeah.
when Dave and Chris show up.
Yeah.
Get 2 awesome books because we've had Dave on the show before.
Yeah, and you can check out my website, ChristopherHusberg.com. It'll have all the details of the tour and where we'll be and when it'll be and everything. So
And if you connect the dots of all the cities that they hit, it'll create a special spoiler for the
yes.
book. I'm joking.
Yes.
It's not going to be
That would be awesome.
I'm sure
though.
you could extrapolate something, you know.
Yeah.
Picture of the crystal meth.
Yes.
This character's going to die.
yeah.
Hey, backwards, they're not wearing shoes, they're barefoot. What?
Yeah, I don't think
Paul
it's
is
that
dead.
J.R.R. Tolkien or George Martin
Yeah.
level. Who knows?
Evil
It is
guy.
Dave.
I mean,
Dave
yeah,
could
you
be
know,
doing something.
True.
Maybe he's creating some vortex of magic.
Exactly. For all I know, Dave is working real magic
From
here,
Ojibwe.
and is just creating a
Yeah.
giant pentacle. Yeah,
It's like
pentagram.
a pentacle with Ojibwe
Yeah.
markings and who knows what. He reads so many books, it could be.
Yep.
Or
Exactly.
maybe he's just summoning Cthulhu. Who knows?
Yeah.
And that's the deal with the devil that gets him to be able to sell his books.
There you go.
There
Yeah.
you go.
I've always wondered how that guy does
As long
it.
as you
Yes.
build the
Yeah.
pentagram with your drive.
You know.
And now he's bringing Chris along, so Chris will be just as
So
successful.
I'll be his magical apprentice. Yeah.
I just want to point out that Wes has now created a new character, the Devil Emperor. From
I will make a note of that. Yeah.
Sweet.
And
And
stolen.
Chris is. That's an awesome idea for book 4.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah,
I
that's
can kill him and everybody will be.
oh,
Yeah.
that'd be
That's
fantastic.
a
Yeah.
death people would like. So let's keep bringing him
So
back.
yeah, check out Chris's book. The first one is on Amazon. You can pre-order. I'm assuming right now.
Yeah, you can pre-order book 2 on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and pretty much anywhere online
So
right
this
now.
is perfect. Go order book 1. Read it.
Yeah.
Book
Read it,
2
and book
will
2
be
will be
available.
Waiting, yeah,
I mean,
right there
it'll
waiting
be
for
on
you.
your doorstep by the time you finish.
Yeah.
Unless you're super fast at reading, and then go pick up the graphic audio version of this.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And then listen to it because
Where's
oh
the
my
graphic
gosh.
audio version? I'm not seeing
Go to
it.
graphic
Go to
audio.
Graphic Audio and look for. Oh yeah, it's not on Amazon.
Yeah,
but
you
go to
go to
Graphic
Graphic
Audio's
Audio's
page and they have.
Graphicaudio.com.
Yeah, graphicaudio.com and just search Duskfall or Christopher Husberg
Yep.
or something. It'll
It
come
will
up.
be there.
This show
Yeah.
brought to you by Graphic
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Audio.com.
Have we said Graphic Audio enough times?
Hey,
Is that
Graphic
it?
Audio. Really? We want a sponsor.
Yeah,
Sponsorship.
see.
What site was that again?
Yeah.
Graphicaudio.com.
Okay. How do you
Okay.
spell that?
G-R-A.
No, honestly, they do a fantastic job.
They do,
I mean, I've
yeah.
listened to Brandon's. Tracy Hickman had a Batman one.
Mm.
It's just so awesome to hear a book and every character has its own voice. There's background.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they tag it a movie in your mind.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
and it really and I really like I love actually the audiobook version of Duskfall. Adam Werner, I think, is the narrator who does a great job. But I never heard anything like what graphic audio does, and their version of Duskfall is just so cool.
Well,
it's
like
just
those,
a totally different experience.
Is, and it's
you
like
know?
those old time radio.
Yeah,
programs.
it's a radio play. Yeah.
If anybody's heard the original Douglas Adams Hitchhiker's Guide BBC radio drama when it started on, that's how it started.
However, Stephen Fry does do a good job at the latest reading, But
yeah, those hands-on, like, my first experience of that kind of stuff wasn't even with Hitchhikers. I don't know how my parents got a hold of these, but I think he downloaded them off the net or something. Literally the graphic audio to Star Wars Empire and Return. They were like LP pressed from the 80s.
Those are
awesome.
Available online. Yeah, they're free download.
This was like 15 years ago before MP3 was a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got them, but wow! If you get a chance to listen to those, nothing will turn you on to graphic audio faster than that.
Do a Google search now; you'll find it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's there.
All right.
On YouTube.
So with that said, we are out of time, folks. But definitely go out, pick up a copy of this book. You won't regret it.
Thank you so much.
And follow Chris. And again, if you're in Salt Lake, he will be at Salt Lake Comic Con in September, or he'll probably be at a Comic Con or convention near you.
That is true.
So with that said, we're out of here.
It's morphin' time.
See ya.